All right, let's dive in. So afternoon, everybody. My name is Ramses Madhu. I'm the Division Manager of Planning, Policy, and Sustainability for the Department of Transportation in the City of San Jose, and I'm the Project Manager for the Airport Connector project. I'm joined here by a few other staff members from the city. I want to first recognize Bridget Brown from Councilmember Peralez's office, who's here to represent him. You want to say anything, Bridget?
Hi, everyone. We're happy to be here on behalf of Councilman Peralez. And if you have any comments or questions following, you're always welcome to contact me or our office directly.
Thank you, Bridget, for being here. Then one more piece of housekeeping before I do more introductions and before I forget. We are recording this meeting so that we can hopefully post it on the website for those who aren't able to make it. So just know you're being recorded. I'm also joined here by Drew Niemeyer, Deputy Director at the airport, as well as Brian Stanke from the Regional Rail Team in the Department of Transportation, as well as Colin Haney, who's also from the Department of Transportation. We're kind of the core team trying to get this project going forward.
So and Ramses, our boss, just joined the group as well.
Oh, hey, let's wait for his audio to connect. And yeah, and then John Risdo, the Director of Transportation, also just joined us. So again, thanks everybody for your time, and let's dive in. So we're here to talk about in very, very early stages, the San Jose Airport Connector, and get your guys' input, thoughts, and just make sure you guys know about what's going on. Let's see if I can get my slides move forward. All right, talk a little bit about who we all are. We did a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the background of this project. There's a lot of history to this project already, and we want to make sure folks know about that. And talk about the project itself, and then spend the bulk of our time fielding questions and thoughts, concerns you all may have about what we're trying to get done. So introductions, we did that already. Ken talked about the different project folks involved here. But why are we talking about this? What's the interest in getting the airport connector done? Well, from one perspective, the overall city goals for transportation, which are being outlined in the Access and Mobility Plan, which is our citywide transportation plan that's coming to council very soon, looks at these different 9 goals as the driving as the focus areas of getting what we need to get done transportation wise, and getting new transit connections and making sure that folks can live their life by transit in a convenient way is a significant piece to a lot of these different goals, particularly less driving, but also enjoyable transportation and clean the air, connected neighborhoods, and many of these things, including move the economy for this one. As part of these goals, we've been looking at the strategies we're going to be implementing. And in the transit section, here are 4 of them. And here we're really talking about improving existing transit, because there is transit connection to the airport, though it's not great. And then transit expansion, right? And we're doing all of these things in different measure right now. But this project really falls under our goals and strategies from that direction. Now, this process for this project has been going on in some fashion or another since at least 2000. And the year 2000, Measure A, which is a tax measure that voters in Santa Clara County passed, nominated this project as a project to be funded through that measure, and has been able to get some funds through that already to progress this project. Since then, there have been quite a few studies trying to figure out what the right alignment is, what kind of technology we should use to progress the project. Since 2017, we have been taking the lead here in the city and trying to progress this project. And the alignment that our studies show as the most effective, meaning we'll get the most people to use it, is a connection between Diridon and the airport directly. And that's because of all of the transit infrastructure that's being built at Diridon. When Diridon gets fully built out under the plans on the table, it will be the most active transit node on the West Coast. And so we're excited to see that, and we want to build on that that success and try to get as many people out of vehicles, out of their own cars, through adding to that. So what have we done since then? So 2017, we got this alignment, and trying to get the right kind of project has actually been quite difficult because of a few different parts of the project. And so what we did was we got direction from council, from city council, to go and explore if there are new technologies or new business approaches or business options that might be able to get this project to move forward more quickly. And so we put out what's called a request for information. In essence, we asked the world, hey, we have this problem where we need to get this connection and a larger set of problems in terms of getting transit developed faster and cheaper. How might you be able to help us with that? And we expected a couple responses. We're looking at things like the Boring Company, some of the other interesting approaches out of the podcast space and things like that. We ended up getting over 20 responses to that, which really motivated the project team and the city to say, all right, there's something more here to be done than we've seen in the past. And so with that, we got further direction from council to move forward with the project and develop it further. And so what we're doing now is we're going out for a request for proposal to develop the project. And so this is very early days. This request for proposal is not a construction request. It is a request to bring in a partner to develop the project further. So this meeting is a very early stage meeting to understand, to get all of you engaged and informed and get us information from you as early as possible in the project. We've been doing various forms of outreach, mostly through digital forms and some presentations since July 2019, just kind of laying them out here. But we've been making sure we keep up digitally on announcing parts of this. You may have seen there's been quite a few media articles as well that have come out in the local press talking about this. We've presented to council, we've presented to some community working groups, and all of that. One thing we should add to this slide, Colin, for future notice is a link to our webpage for the project. And Colin, maybe you can drop that in the chat while we're going here, because there's quite a bit of project information up there already. Kind of see what we've learned already that's driving this project, as well as what we're thinking about going forward. And another piece of context that's really important is that the Diridon station area plan, as well as the Diridon station design that's being progressed right now, has already anticipated the airport connector as part of its future. You see there the nice little airplane here is the placeholder for where this project might interface with the Diridon station. And so we are, we've already integrated into that process to some degree. There's a lot more work to be done there as that project continues to develop, but it is already being thought about at those larger levels. And get back to, okay, let's turn that off. Sorry, fumbling with technology here for 1 second. Turn off annotation, there we go. Okay, so what are we actually talking about? What kind of project is being proposed here? So the project on a larger level is really about how do we create a new approach to transit? How do we bring a new way of developing transit that will expand out of Diridon into multiple different routes? And so we're really trying to tackle these questions of how do we build transit faster and cheaper, and that has a higher use value to, or just easier to use for folks than folks are currently used to. So that's kind of the larger perspective that we're trying to take here. And we see the airport connector as a first section of this larger effort. Yeah, so kind of giving you the larger scope of what we're trying to get done, and then the airport connector. Now, if we go into the airport connector itself, what we're looking at here on this map is this, the area we're looking for to make the connection. And we haven't chosen an exact route yet, but this is kind of our search space for where that route, that route might go. Yeah, that's partly why we've asked all of you to come join us, is to kind of think about if you're adjacent to this area, near it, or in it. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this project. Make sure you know about it, right? But what we do know is that at a minimum, we want to get from Terminal B, which is if you guys have flown out of the San Jose Airport, Mineta San Jose Airport, that's the southwest terminal. And there's a space just outside of the baggage claim that's denoted in the master plan where this might connect, and then connect from there to the Diridon transit station down here on the lower portion of our picture where the pin is. So that's the minimum, right? And then there's options for developing an intra-airport connector, meaning you can get from the different terminals to each other, as well as the parking and the future hotel and stuff like that are optional segments if we can kind of work it out in the project structure. And then, of course, as we've talked about, future expansion is part of what we would like to talk about and see if we can get this airport connector piece to work and it proves that it's valuable in terms of a new approach to transit. We'd very much like to see it expand. And we've heard from some of you already that you'd like to see this expand in various ways, such as potentially going down to where the Sharks Ice arena is, and things like that. So what's our schedule? Well, right now we're developing the request for proposal. And again, that request for proposal is to bring in a development partner to really progress this project from this pretty high level description that I've given you already. Of course, we have some more details and that'll all be released in the RFP. But to progress it from this high level project to an actual defined project where we would go look for further funding and all of that. The expectation is we'd release that request for proposal in the early part of next year, and then through next year we would be selecting a couple preferred proposers and then work to validate those and then select one proposer group, one bidder group, kind of late next year, potentially early the following year. And that, once we get that done, we'll spend the next 1.5 to 2 years really defining the project and helping us get our funding and larger pieces of the project puzzle in place to get this moving forward. And that is the totality of our presentation for today. You can again here see the Terminal B to Diridon is our primary connection, and then those potential connections going up north, and then of course expansion from there. So that's what we have in terms of presentation. Love to hear your thoughts, concerns, excitement, whatever may be at the top of your mind.
Charlie wanted to clarify that we can have more than one question.
Yes, have as many questions as you want, and feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll let Colin kind of mediate. Yeah.
Thanks. I'll start with Bill asked during your presentation when you were showing the schedule, why 17 years from measure A through the end of the kind of study period and the options?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And why hasn't this moved forward? Initial alignment studies looked at connecting the First Street light rail station potentially at grade into Terminal B, maybe underground, and then going under the airport and going out to Santa Clara Station. And while those studies, denoted that it was feasible. There weren't any champions to kind of say, all right, let's get this done. Folks didn't feel like that was a high enough payoff for the project, and so people didn't move it forward. So there was a kind of a lack of will, I would say, or there was just not enough payoff. And since we restudied it in 2017 to say, hey, maybe the alignment should change, we found a much more motivating and valuable approach by getting to Diridon. That's really invigorating the project again. What's next, Colin? Oh, you are on mute.
Thanks. Bill also asked, do we have a ballpark budget?
We do not. And sorry, I'm supposed to say this is Ramses again. We do not have a ballpark budget just yet. We do have a $500 million denomination in the regional transportation plan. That's the Plan Bay Area document that was just adopted a couple of weeks ago by our regional transportation body. So that we see as our upward bounds of public money. Our intention is to spend quite a bit less than that in public money. And the way that we're developing this project will bring in hopefully some more private money to cover it. So we don't yet, and that's fine. We're not trying to be at that level yet until we kind of get into the further project definition the next stage.
Next question is, it looks like it'll take several more years till we actually have this connector. In the meantime, are we considering a holistic portfolio of non-car options like bike share at the airport or VTA bus direct service? And then also, what about Berryessa-BART to SJC?
Yeah, great questions. We are definitely working on better bike connection. I mean, we do have the Guadalupe River. I live in Japantown near downtown, and I actually used to ride to the airport a lot. My wife lived in LA for a year, and I'd go visit her every couple of weeks, and I would ride my bike from my place down Guadalupe. But there's definitely a little bit of connectivity work that could happen across the access road from Guadalupe into the airport. And we've discussed that a little bit. We're also looking at a southern connection that would go along the southern end of the airport, which would bring us from Guadalupe all the way over to actually to the Earthquake Stadium is the purpose of that, which is a little bit different than what you're asking. There are transit connections at the moment to the terminals. VTA runs them from both the First Street light rail connection station as well as from Caltrain station in Santa Clara. So those do exist. There is not currently discussion about a connection going directly downtown bus-wise to the terminal. We'll take it under advisement that that's something that public would like to see us think about. So we can talk about that with VTA. And then the Berryessa one, I haven't even I haven't even heard that brought up before. So thanks, same thing there. We'll take note of your suggestion.
One of the questions embedded in there, Ramses, was bike share at the airport.
Oh yeah, thank you. I missed that. Well, Drew's here. I'm here. We'll take that under consideration. At the moment, you can actually use the electric bikes that are around the city and ride them over there. That is okay by that program's rules. I believe that's okay by the airport rules. But we will further consider that. It's a great idea.
And Drew is adding that there are bike lockers at the airport as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're right in the garage across the street from Terminal B, actually. That's where I used to put my bike.
And then Charlie's asking, why not use the BART line?
Yeah, well, we would love the BART line to actually go to the airport versus Santa Clara Station, and that would be great. But it doesn't. All right, and what we have done in our most recent studies is see that the connection to BART that's most valuable in terms of generating ridership and all of that is to connect it to Diridon, right? And so the BART line doesn't connect to the airport, right? It goes up to Santa Clara Station and ends there. And so there's no direct connection from the BART, and unless we got a few billion extra dollars, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid, expanding it to the airport is not currently in the possibility book, but
So
always,
can you hear me on this?
yeah, gotcha.
So looking at this map, you're going to be putting in a rail line from Diridon Station all the way up on the right-hand side of the airport. But you already have an existing line going to the opposite side of the airport for BART.
Right. And again, so we looked at that alignment in the earlier studies and then looked at it again in 2017. And there's quite a bit more folks who would have access to the airport if we connected it to Diridon. Right. You want as close, you don't want to have people have to hop around different systems. Right. And so you have a great deal more transit coming in, particularly high-speed rail, as well as a great deal more local transit from VTA that comes into Diridon versus Santa Clara. And so the BART, while it looks as the crow flies very near the airport, it's not close to where people go in the airport, right? So you have to get all the way across the runways and all of the industrial space there. And that's, how do you say, the barriers are large to making that work.
And you couldn't use your tunnel digger to, that's going all through downtown to go underneath the airport?
Again, I will say a personal note. My first goal when I got to San Jose was to make sure that tunnel machine never stopped going, and then I realized how much it costs to make that tunnel machine keep going. We will likely be able to build this connection and more if we go the direction we're talking about, for a great deal less than what that cost would be to continue that tunnel boring machine to the airport.
So last point on mine, and I'm sorry but you know, if anybody's taking BART up to Oakland and then taking the hokey tram that they have from the BART station over to the airport, it's slower than molasses. It takes forever. It's awkward. I'm afraid that what's being thought of here is an Oakland-like awkwardness going from Diridon, which is the right intention, I agree, but
yeah, we certainly hear you. And honestly, the Oakland connector is one of our, I would say, what not to do project examples. There was a lot of things wrong with that project that we have studied and are looking at a very different technology, different way to integrate it. There's everything from just how it integrates to the other transit systems, what the system is itself. And again, we're not only interested in the airport connector, so we're really making sure we're thinking about something that is more robust and capable than something like that, right? So very much hear your caution, and in fact, it is considered one of the projects for us to really avoid some of the pitfalls that came out of that project. So we share your concern that project is not a viable solution to our problem here.
Okay, Charlie, anything else at this point, or shall, okay, back to the comments. A follow-up comment on the lockers at SJC. There are only 2 bike link lockers at SJC. Drew, if there's any clarity you want to provide, go ahead and either speak up or type it in the comments.
Yeah, there's 2 locations, each have 2 spaces each, so for a total of 4. And our reports that we get indicate that they're not being utilized that much.
Thanks. From Bill in the comments, it costs $500 million for 2 miles of light rail to East Ridge. Ouch. Maybe we can practice with a non-rail service in the next 4 years while waiting for the project development. We might actually learn about use cases for travelers coming into Diridon. And is something like Hyperloop under consideration? So,
you know, we'll take your editorial about cost and stuff. Totally agree. And actually, East Ridge Light Rail is above 300 million per mile at this point. So it's even more than that. And that's definitely one of the lessons we're looking very, very carefully at. Is this project only works if it comes in quite a bit less than that. And this is about a 3 to 4 mile system, depending on which alignment gets used. Sorry, what was the second part of that?
It's something like, Yeah.
Oh,
something
it's
like
Hyperloop. Yeah. So, if you go look on the project's website, we got 23 responses to our original request for information. Hyperloop did come in. Hyperloop in general is not well suited for short range transportation. It is a long range transportation technology in general. It is in the consideration group, though we have not heard from any companies that are doing Hyperloop like systems that would like to bid. We've heard from a lot of other companies that would like to see this get done. Most of the technologies are more around what's called a pod car or a personal rapid transit or group rapid transit, which is a smaller vehicle, anywhere from 4 to 16 people that goes point to point, right? So if there are other stops in between Terminal B and Diridon Station, it would not stop there. They would go directly to wherever they're going. So we're seeing a lot of options around that type of technology, as well as, of course, the Boring Company and what they're doing in Vegas. We're not super keen on people riding around in Tesla Model 3s in the tunnels, so we'd like to see a different vehicle approach there. But yeah, those are the kinds of technologies. And if you're interested in kind of seeing the various technologies that came in through the request for information, please do go to the project website. There's a link there that'll take you to all of that. And I will say there's even more technologies than came in through that process starting to show up and wanting to talk to us about this.
Thanks. Next question, is surface traffic on non-highway streets between Diridon and SJC really the limiting factor time-wise? Why not an electric bus that just goes back and forth between the two? And same question for Barry Esapart.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So yeah, why not just put an electric bus there and make it happen, right? And it really has to do with traffic congestion now and in the future. The downtown is looking to grow by about 50% in the next decade or two, depending on how fast what's on the books right now in development it comes about. Traffic during peak hours, as we get out of the lockdowns from COVID, is at a very, very slow pace, both on local streets, Coleman and the like, as well as on the highways. And so these are the limiting factors already. We see them that way, and in the future we definitely see them that way. And the point here is that transit in mixed traffic, while we are most certainly working on a lot of projects to add to that and looking at adding bus lanes where we can within the city, Santa Clara Street being the one we're working on right now, we don't see that as an always solution. And for something like this, where there is going to be significant congestion between the 2 points, we would like to see a better connection for folks. And I'll add one more thing. Airport travel in particular is highly time sensitive, right? And so if you get in a bus and it takes 5 to 35 minutes to get somewhere, that time connection is very scary because you get on the other end and you get in that security line and you may or may not make your flight depending on whether the bus made it on time or not. And so those are the kinds of things that we're facing and making sure that this project is valuable to travelers and the like. Oops, all right.
So Bill followed up with, I think, a similar question. Bill, did that answer your question, or did you want to dig more into a non-rail solution, a robust non-rail solution from Diridon in the meantime?
I added that while the other question was coming in because Ramses skipped over my question that was embedded in that Hyperloop comment.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat it?
Well, I was wondering if we wouldn't do something to, practice with what sort of use cases there might be by having a connector from Diridon to the airport today. But you just talked about that being not practical because of surface street traffic.
Yeah, but I think your question kind of falls in that, like, why don't we just build a bus in the interim period or get a bus line going? And that's not a bad idea, is all that. And would we learn about use cases? Yeah, of course. Anytime we put something out, you learn something. It's possible, but I would say the amount of bandwidth to take on these projects is limited. From the city's perspective in general, we want to push for the thing that's kind of the right thing from what we know in the longer run. Your points are well taken and good. Just a matter of how much bandwidth and how much money there is to progress the corridor.
All right, I don't have any other questions in the chat right now. We can take a moment, let people scratch their heads and think, or if somebody prefer to ask their question aloud, just go ahead and raise your hand.
And one thing to kind of jog your imaginations is, we're certainly interested in seeing this expand from here. And we're hearing from some folks, hey, why don't you go down to Sharks Ice in the South Campus for San Jose State? Why don't you go further north into North San Jose? Why don't you go further south and all of that? So ideas as to what might be valuable to you to see a connection beyond what we're doing are other ways to think about this as well.
We did get a new question in the chat. Does SJDOT have a working relationship with VTA where we could request these direct bus routes in the meantime? Again, the point that it looks like residents will be waiting several years for a direct connection.
Yeah, great question. And yes, we do. And we will put it on our agenda to discuss with them kind of what the right approach to that is. Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to just seed the conversation with the question. We're reaching out to this group, to neighbors. That's specifically this invitation went out to neighborhood associations near the potential route. And I think to the broader downtown mailing list. But as we are working on this request for proposals for a partner organization or collaboration, what do you want to make sure is in there for the proposers to consider as neighbors of this potential future project? Is there anything that you want to make sure that we don't leave out of the RFP?
Yeah, that I think that's really good. Just to add a little bit more to that is, what are you concerned about, right? What do you want to make sure we don't do, and what you want to make sure we do?
We're also having a repeat of this presentation and meeting Monday night from 5 to 6. So if something does come to mind, you can join us then or email Ramses.
Yeah, so last point from me, Charlie here, from San Jose State's perspective, and as my former employer, the Sharks, would love to connect downtown to the South Campus area. There is just so much that's down there. I call it the family entertainment zone of San Jose, between Happy Hollow and the History Park and the Sharks and the Giants and San Jose State stuff. It's a great spot that we're trying to always find affordable options for people in San Jose. And most people cannot afford to go to the big Sharks games or some of those type of venues, and they can afford to do the stuff on South Campus. And it's the people who can't afford that, can't afford their car and parking and all that, and be able to take an option like this, I think would be truly embracing the essence of what we were talking about at the SAG meetings and everything, and really getting people access that they need.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. That's a great point.
Do you have a couple new ones in the comments? I'd like us to ensure that residents of downtown have a quick car-free connection to the airport. It might be very long for someone in Japantown, for example, to take VTA down to Diridon just to backtrack back to SJC. And then Bill added, I've been suggesting a circulator a la DC that could go to neighborhoods like Japantown, Santana Row, Willow Glen, the East Side, and the airport to reduce traffic congestion in general. And I'll add, Bill, that somebody was just asking me yesterday, why is there not a shuttle to and from Santana Row and Valley Fair to downtown on the weekends?
Yeah, fantastic points, and that's right. And thanks for making those. I will say this airport connector and And a Stevens Creek line was also adopted in the Plan Bay area a few weats ago. And that Stevens Creek line would go from Diridon down San Carlos and then Stevens Creek, where it turns into that at Highway 17 880 there, and then go all the way down to De Anza College at 85. And so there's San Jose is interested when we talk about expansion. That is one of the main corridors we would like to see this expand to. Now, of course, we're talking in kind of decade-wide timeframes to get something like that done. And we're hoping to do it faster than something like BART, which took 5 to 6 decades. We're trying to look at that's more in 1 at most 2. But that is a major link that we would love to see get done. We understand, Santana Row and downtown, if we could make them more like one place and easily connect between them, that helps everybody. And so that's good. There is transit connections, and there is actually a express bus that goes between them. But it is, as we all know, the road on Stevens Creek at any time when there's a lot of people over at the malls in the Santana Row area is very slow. And so that's, again, why we like to see grade separation as much as we can. Transit run in a different guideway than cars.
Thanks.
And Bill, in your circulator idea, we get it. It's all about funding and then trying to figure out how that kind of thing can work in and what are the priorities overall to get that funding there.
Bill added on a note that we're shutting down Dash, and then we got a vote from somebody else to bring back Dash. And Bill chimes in that his personal time frame of interest keeps shrinking. 25 years is a big chunk of one's lifetime.
Yep, agreed. Those who work on these projects are doing our best to try and figure out ways to accelerate them, because it's your lifetime and ours. And those of us who live in the city, we feel it from all ends. So we definitely agree. The getting rid of Dash was the intention was to see the 500 and some of these other local buses from VTA take a lot of that burden on. And I understand that folks don't feel like that's happening. So we hear it.
Okay, well, we are going to have the video of this presentation. Of course, all the comments and questions that were read aloud will be included. After we get it processed, I'll post it on the website, the first link I shared to the main website. I also, in the chat, at 12:29, I commented that the RFI responses were available on a different page. You can get to it from the main Airport Connector page I first shared, but there is a distinct URL for the responses. It looks like we've got one more. Bill says, thank you, Godspeed. Appreciate it, Bill. We have some time to hang around if anybody wants to stick around and ask a couple more questions. Otherwise, I'm going to give everybody back some of their valuable lunch hour. And thank you very much for participating and helping us think about this project more critically and from a local's perspective.